the recording. Perfect. That's awesome. Okay. So,
So hello everyone, especially to Francisca that is here presently, and she is going in 15 minutes. So I think I will continue after you go, Francisca, and then we will share the video. I will try to be I will try to improvise because my idea was make you to participate. So let's go. I'm Borja. I'm Spaniard. I'm 35 years old and pianist, and I am choir conductor. And I just made my PhD in about my inclusive choir. I have an inclusive choir called Canta Tutti. Today I am going to present you it's like seminar or talking or I don't know what is this from access to belonging, rethinking inclusion in choral practice. Nowadays, I am researching in Zaragoza University in the northeast of Spain. But now in January, I'm moving to Finland, to Helsinki, because I am holding a postdoc in the Sibelius Academy. So I will try to do this in a most meaningful way for you. What are we going to explore today together? I was thinking that it will be interesting to rethink about what inclusion means for all of you, moving beyond like the basics aspects to the most complex things. I was planning to speak about some practical strategies about how can we reach inclusion, accessibility, or equity in a choral group, and how I feel that we can approach from different perspectives. I am going to show you like one example of multisensory practice with the example of my choir and the strategies we normally used to do. And then I was planning to speak something about the artistic quality in an inclusive project or in a project that tries to be more inclusive, because I think there are somehow these two terms sometimes can be perceived like opposites, and I think it's not my idea. I think quality and inclusion can be together and can improve indeed and enhance the musical experience. Let's go. So I wanted to know you, and I wanted to know about your context and your experience. So now we have here Francisca. Francisca, you have told me something, but so briefly, please name and your background, just not to speak alone.
Okay. So my background is I grew up in a chorus in Germany, and then I studied historical solo singing, but I still sing in chorus and ensembles.
Super great. Thank you, Francisca. And so here we are. And let's continue. Francisca, what does inclusion mean for you? This is not an exam. Don't be pressured.
Yeah, thanks. For me, it means that everyone can take part in it, and there's no obstacles in the way of some people.
Okay, beautiful, perfect. And second, what barriers exist in your choir or context, or maybe what barriers have you noticed in your life in different projects where you have been involved? You have time to think a little bit.
Something that comes to my mind very quickly is the that for some people choir can be quite overwhelming, space-wise and also auditive. My English is not so good today, I'm sorry.
No,
Um,
no.
so that some people could be overwhelmed quite fast if they sit too close to a large group of people, in the middle of a large group of people, if there's a constant noise in a room with not good acoustics. So that is something that keeps some people from singing in the choir.
That's amazing because it's the first time someone uh, put this in the table in a conversation with me when I ask about what barriers in the choir they see. It's very interesting. Indeed, I have had like two guys with one profile similar to this. And just to make this more participative, can you imagine more different obstacles that people in general or in the society we can face when sometimes when we join a choir or when we are practicing choir music, choral music?
Yeah, well, there could be all kinds of things. Like for different disabilities, there are different obstacles. Like working with only scores, paper scores, is not good for people who cannot see. Accessibility of old, I don't know, an old opera house or something like that. They're not always up to date and accessible for people who have difficulties walking. Um, People with attention problems, choir rehearsal of 2 hours is not the right thing for them. Yeah, things like that,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, you have pointed a lot of important things we are going to talk about today. Yeah, and if we are talking more, we will find more. Of course, there are a lot of different perspectives. Today, I wanted to point the difference for me between access and belonging. When we were speaking about inclusion, because sometimes people, when they speak about inclusion or accessibility, speaks just about the opening doors. I allow you to come. I allow you to sing. You can join us, but it's not just this. I think I think in the conversation we should rise another step, and it's about belonging, because of course access is important, and of course we know a lot of projects where access is not allowed for everyone or is not facilitated for everyone. The formal musical education nowadays, or the higher musical education, is so exclusive, and they don't understand or they don't look for diversity, or accessibility is not in the conversation for all. It's just in the papers, it's just in the law, but it's not in the reality. And and yeah, of course, we have a lot of technically issues to allow people to go inside. But normally the people work in this column of the access. But what about belonging? For me, belonging is not just to allow them to come. For me, belonging is to hear them and try to make their opinions and their presence part of the project, and manage the group and the project in a way for making their contributions important or central to the musical project. I put here, inclusion is not a checklist, it's a culture. It's uh, and it it reaches everything. It's not only the concert, it's the rehearsal, it's the communication, and it's the kind of relationship that you establish with your partners. Maybe if you are a singer, with your colleagues and your partners in the choir, and if you are a conductor, how do you manage this power position, and how do you become a facilitator of these people in the choir? If you want to say something, Francisca, you can do it. And now I was going to show you a practical example. This is my choir 2 years ago in this photo, or part of my choir. We are more than 150 singing, yeah. And the 90% of them has not any musical training, just the school and the high school, but they have not gone to a private school or a conservatory or whatever. Francisca, you have to go in 3 minutes, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I was going to put now a video, but I am not going to do it because you can look for Canta Tutti in social media and you can see the video. And I don't spend these 3 minutes, and I just show a little bit the characteristics of this choir, and you know a little bit more, and then we say goodbye. And I continue alone. Here in our choir, these are of course photos of the project. We have very different people from different backgrounds with um, high studies or not, with a low socioeconomic position, with different disabilities. The 25% of the components of the choir has a recognized disability, and more or less the 49-50% of them has like a profile of vulnerability. Like we say that it's like a very wide level that includes a lot of different situations. We have people from 18 years old till 90, but the average age is like 26. So it's a youth program that includes people of different ages. For us, it's very important, this intergenerational work. We have refugees, we have transgender people. I mean, inclusivity in, I don't like to do examples because because it's quite I have to choose. So we have every kind of different people, and we promote the project like an inclusive project. So this has helped us to reach people that feel that it's outside of this kind of musical projects, and sometimes they don't because of that. We would like not to be an inclusive choir, at least in our name, but we have see that it's useful to reach people that need this kind of help to join, or because they feel that they can be welcome. So we do it. We based, like I have said, I am researcher in the university. I did my PhD. For me, it's very important not to do my work just because some kind of intuition or some kind of personal values about what inclusion is or accessibility is. There are a lot of academic text and studies and research about music, and I am not going to say inclusion, but a lot of aspects that are related to pro-social goals or social transformation or social justice through music. So I try to study and I try to learn about these different perspectives of social justice related to musicking, and I show you in this slide. We have projects of social action through music, like the Sistema in Venezuela, that are huge projects with thousands of kids or teenagers, and it's a very expensive way or a very expensive kind of projects. We have musical social projects that are related more to NGOs or small associations that works with people with some vulnerabilities. Of course, is the community music that's very famous in Germany and in other Central and North European countries. Not here, for example, in Spain. Not as they understand there. Or music and peace building projects in refugee camps or in places like Gaza or with difficulties, or in Colombia, for example, with the guerrilla, or yeah, and one movement for me very interesting, the musical education activism. So in the north of Europe, it's very trendy with people like Westerlund or Hess that are teachers, are researchers, but are activists too through the music and the music education. And I feel that I'm a musical education activist too, and we think that we should put our skills and knowledge in order to reach a more so a more a better society, let's say. It's very difficult to explain in 2 words.
I'm very sorry, but I have to say
Yeah, I
goodbye.
know.
I'm
Yeah.
very sorry to leave you, but it's been very interesting so far, and I'm looking forward to listening to the rest.
Okay, thanks so much. Have a nice day, Francisca.
Ciao.
Ciao, bye bye. And here I am. We have. I'm going to continue in order you to be able to see the video. It's going to be quite different, like I was planning to do it, but let's go. I know that you have not had a lot of time to decide to join the meeting, and you will be a busy group of people. We have talked about before, but for me, the music promotion of inclusion has two perspectives or two ways of approaching. In one way, we have the common or the I think this access plus participation plus representation and equity, and this is I think when the people thinks in inclusion is what the people normally talk about. But for me, there is another perspective more important, at least for me, when you have do the first one, is the artistic development of the people that you are trying to include. The disabled people rights say that all the people, not depending on their abilities, has the right to have an artistic development. And I find that a lot of projects that allow vulnerable people or people with disabilities to go inside or go into do it in a very paternalistic way. I don't know if this is understand or not. They are not kids. They are not people not able to do professional things or professional ways of rehearse or working. They of course are, but they have not been treated like that during their lives, or maybe they need more time, or maybe they need different materials, or maybe they need different approaches. But of course they can be professionals, of course they can develop themselves in an artistic way, and of course they can improve their talents and they can improve their skills and feel proud of their growth. So I think for me, this is one of the most important things we should take into account when we are talking about an inclusive project. Is not just to be in the first layer, the layer of access or participation. There is another layer, or there are more layers related to this artistic development. What barriers can we find? Francisca has point some of them, but of course, and we can find more, but of course, some of the typical barriers we found in the musical projects are about disability or socioeconomic issues. Of course, the age, in different ways, but the age, gender and sex, the geographical, the institutional barriers, the sociocultural barrier, and of course the technological barriers. And of course, maybe now you are thinking in 2 or 3 different more barriers, because if we all have special or different needs. For me, this is one of the most interesting slides and reflections that we should do when we are knowing, or we are facing, or we are managing a musical project which try to be inclusive, but not just an inclusive project. I think one musical project. For example, the cooptation and instrumentalization of or singers. I think you will know different programs in your cities, in your countries, where a lot of, for example, vulnerable people is shown playing or singing, and it's quite close to a marketing strategy nor a pedagogical strategy. This is very difficult, it's very complex, and there is very difficult to see the balance between the need of funding or the need of giving voice to vulnerable people, and the need to be like pedagogical and methodological, or ethical, your ethical excellence in these projects. It's very difficult, and I am the first person who faced these problems, because we have to show people what are we doing. We are asking for funding. We are doing concerts related to some NGOs or some institutions, private and public money, and it's very difficult to balance the ethical risk and the sustainability of the project. And it's not about to say you can't do it, but I think you have to keep it in your mind every time. I was expecting you to speak about this in this slide. This maybe it's quite boring if I am talking by myself alone. In the same way, the tokenization or the acceptation of different people, and how we manage, for example, terms like multiculturalism, interculturalism, transculturality, how this is understood by the facilitators, or how this is understood in the repertoire, or by the singers. We want to sing a song of indigenous tribe, or how we face the stage decoration, or the dress, the outfit we are going to wear while we sing. And there are a lot of aspects that that can be problematic, and we have to take into account. Another very important thing, the priority of objectives. This kind of projects, if they try to be inclusive, they have to know that social objectives have to be always and always before of the musical objectives. And this is not this is we can't discuss this. We can, of course, but there is not a negotiation. Social objectives in a musical, social, or inclusive project should be always in the first step, and then maybe the musical objectives. It's very important. Like I have said, the psychological and the pedagogical foundations. We find a lot of projects that are based in good intuition, or in a very good practitioner, or in a very good manner way, or context to work in, but there are a lot of knowledge that it's great, and it's research about how one facilitator, or one teacher, or one conductor should approach to the singers, or to the repertoire. So we would have to have this in our minds, because sometimes you find projects that say, oh, we have our own methodology, or we are changing lives through a radical transformation methodology. What is that? Where is right? Where is written? Has been written? Where? Which references do we have? Normally, a lot of projects we find across the internet, for example, are this info is not available, and I think it's dangerous to say that in a marketing slogan, because we are not changing lives. We are just educating, or we are just teaching music, or we are just doing music. Of course, the power dynamics that we all have suffered in a choir, or in an orchestra, like singers, or like conductors. How does it works? How do we manage it? What is our role? How our role change and shift, and how this affect to the belonging and the inclusion and the feeling of our partners, or of singers. And of course, teacher training, very important. In case in this kind of skills, what is music for inclusion, how to be more accessible, where do we study that, in which university, in which conservatoire, in which program. So which are the skills we need to work with an inclusive group, or how we can improve our skills. What about professionalism in higher music education, or in choral music education, trying to face these kind of challenges. And of course, the importance of the research. For me, like researcher, I have to defend that research has to be open to the practitioners, and practitioner has to be familiar with the research, because a lot of knowledge, a lot of experiences, a lot of qualitative and quantitative data, it's there in order we to use like facilitators, or like conductors, and this can improve our practice, and this can improve our results, or this can improve our objectives or goals or musical goals. Let's go ahead. These are some photos of my choir, just you to be able to have like an idea of the different profiles we have. And we have this is like another way of another profile. We are based in the University of Zaragoza, but we are not a choir of the university. It's just our place of rehearsal. It's open to all the society. More than 500 people have seen with us since 2018. We have people from 18 till 90. This is old fashioned. 83, no. We have had people from more than 35 nationalities, I wish. Nowadays we have like 150, 170 active members. This is very variable because people go inside and go out depending on a lot of different factors. We do rehearsals of 2 hours on Tuesday and Thursday every week. And sometimes we have like special weekends, like this weekend, for example, where we are moving to a village and we are going to sing there like 8-10 hours, and we are going to cook for everyone, and we are more than 100 sleeping together just in 2 rooms, everything mixed, every age is mixed, every disability mixed, helping us each other without any special assistance to this kind to the different needs. So we have to solve it by ourselves, and it's part of the methodology we we do in the choir. Our mission, move here. Our mission is to promote inclusion, equity, and accessibility, as well as awareness of diversity through music and choral singing, to offer a safe space for learning and personal and collective growth, contributing to the development of emotional, academic, and social competencies in its participants, reaching a diverse audience using voice, body language, and Spanish sign language. Of course, we try to reach this ethical excellence I was talking about before, and we have these values, but of course there are more, but these are some of the most important. One idea I would like to put in the table and make it clear, it's like, for me, inclusion and accessibility and equity is very important, and it's the reason I created this project 9 years ago. But it's not just, I mean, what I am defending or what I'm trying to aware another conductors or another singers is that the strategies we do, the strategies we create, or the strategies we use to be more inclusive or more accessible is not just for amateur or inclusive projects. We thought that we think that is useful for everyone in choral music from different perspectives, maybe with different implementations, but it's not just for this kind of non-professional projects. It's for everyone, because all of us, including professionals, have different needs, and we can improve their well-being in the choral context where they used to be. I'm not going to be now so deep with that. We use a lot of different methodological and technical approaches. I was talking to you that this is very important, and not just to say that we use a very new methodological and technical strategies. we are based in an inclusive and democratic paradigm, and we use a very eclectic methodology that mix some methodologies and some paradigms, and yeah, like from service learning to co-working to flipped classroom and flipped learning to the universal design of learning. I mean, there are a lot of people involved in the project, and we use a lot of different strategies in order people to feel that the doors are open and they are welcome and their opinion are important, and they and their values and their opinion shape the project and affects to the decision making we we have. We have a lot of different musical accessibility strategies. For example, we have accessibility in the musical performance. I think one of the most important thing I have not say yet, and this is funny because it's one of the most important things we do, is that we sing with sign language. We sing with our voices, and we sign in a polyphonic way. What does it mean? It means that sopranos, altos, basses, and tenors have their own signing because they have their own voice. So you can listen and you can see the polyphony because you can distinguish if you are seeing a melody or an accompaniment or a counterpoint, or you can see which voices are together and which voice is asking and which one is answering, or you can appreciate, for example, the difference in the intensity because we make the signs bigger or smaller, and this is one of the most important things in accessibility we do from the beginning. It's this sing and sign musical practice. So I was talking about the accessibility in the musical performance. Of course, all our songs are sing with sign language, and all the texts are translated, not only for the participants, are translated for the audience too. And there are accessibility measures in the perception. Like you see in the photo, these guys are wearing a vibratory jacket that vibrates with the music. So there are microphones taking the signal and converting it in this vibratory vibratory. Sorry. Okay. Now I don't know where I was. Okay. There are sign language interpreters in the concerts. There are audio descriptions. There are subtitles if are need. And for example, we have some lights that translate the music in light and rhythm, and each song has its own gamma of colors, which change in a different manner depending of the rhythm or the texture of the song, and we create and we modify these patterns. And of course, all of these accessibility strategies are made by our own participants through the common reflection and through the participation with their own skills. For example, I have two guys that are engineers, and they design and the patterns of the lights, and they control it with a mobile phone during the performances, and they are the responsibles of that. Or another ones that know how the vibratory hardware works, and they configure it in each concert, and they put the microphones. Or there are another people that are translating the scores or the lyrics into braille, like you see in the photo. Or they are doing the forms to the audience if they have special needs, or for photosensibility, for example, or they have wheelchair, or they need something, I don't know what, because in each concert you can find something new. But we have people that it's attending to that, and it's people of the choir, it's people of the project, it's people that it's singing, but it's people that has more responsibility, because we do everything together, because it's our goal to be accessible, is our goal to be inclusive. So we all do it together, and all the people of the project is welcome in a responsibility place if they want to. I mean, and of course the digital accessibility, but this is very difficult. For example, with the website or different things, or the software we use with the scores. So we are always improving. Nowadays we have a project of the Spanish culture ministry to do an accessible virtual classroom to make choral music more accessible, where we put our materials, where we put our videos uh, um, of the scores, but not just in a score way, just with the audio, with a MIDI, or with the different tutorial videos that allow us to learn the sign language, for example. And of course, the economic accessibility. Most of our concerts are for free, and we try to reach vulnerable associations, vulnerable people associations, like refugees or women, or people with different situations, you understand. And we try to invite them to the concerts, because sometimes they are far away of this type of cultural events in our city. Now, I was going to speak about a little bit about strategies for inclusivity in research, but I don't know without if this is interesting without you in the conversation, because I was going to ask you if you were interested on. I think you can reach me if you are interested in social media, or wherever. It's very easy to find me. I'm not hype. It's my name in Instagram, or in Facebook, or whatever, in LinkedIn. So if you are interested on research about choral music, I think you should reach me, and we can talk about this. It's more about power relations, and recognize the different voices, and how we can show this in our research, and how we can face these practices with vulnerable people, and how can we make it reciprocal in a way that the research helps the practitioner, and the practitioner helps the researcher. So I think this is one of the most important things. And of course, there was another slide about the ethical approaches, because we have to inform the people that we are taking data about them in the rehearsals or not in the rehearsals, with forms, and we are doing like we have quantitative and qualitative data about them, and this is very sensitive. I think every choir has sensitive info. In my case, I have thousands of pages of data, so it's very important for me, since they join the choir, them to understand and know that I am not just the conductor, I am a researcher, I am and I am trying to understand the processes and their beliefs and their different opinions, and I am going to use the different forms and the different interviews or the different focus groups we make frequently to triangulate and to publish or to do this kind of of researching, and how and one of another important thing is when I do this, I have to give them back, and I have to explain them what they have found and how they see it, if they agree with the results or not, because maybe I have not understand them, but blah 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 blah. These are technical things about researching that maybe you are not interested in. For example, this is a very beautiful slide. You will not understand, but you see, this is in my PhD thesis, and you can see in the field work in the left. In orange, we have the field work in the notebook, and each one of these windows is one topic, and the number that is the different comments or or links that are related to. And for example, this is a quest I made to the choir, a quest I made to their context, their families, their friends, and these are the focus groups. I make a very huge research, not just with the participants in the moment of my PhD, that was an ethnographic work for 8 years. We take into account, I took into account the previous participants that had lived the project and the environment. And I find 214 sub-nodes. And so this are like 214 different topics that I have studied in the narratives and the challenges of the choir, just my choir. So imagine, that's crazy. I am showing this to you just due to imagine or get inspired on how you can face your practical activity in your choir, or how interesting can be know more about your participants, your singers, and how you can improve your practice through this data. For example, this is in Spanish, so sorry, but for example, I can relate these different notes, different topics, for example, inclusivity, diversity, accessibility, and I can see how, for example, inclusivity is related to diversity. This is quite obvious, or accessibility. So what it means, if I do something that improves inclusivity, of course, includes the diversity normally. This is quite obvious, but for example, we have different topics, like for example, the sense of belonging or the non-sense of belonging, which category this is related. For example, maybe with the use of technologies, or the use or when we look for a good artistic quality, or the creativity, or when something is innovative, or for example, when they are motivated or not motivated, or they have a good experience or a bad experience. I mean, I try to triangulate and see the relation between these different situations, these different narratives that show one experience in the choir that relates to one of these topics, and how they are related. If I improve the motivation, I am improving another categories. So through this, I can see sometimes the holes that my projects have, and where I have to fight more, or which characteristic is not good enough for me. These are the main findings on my thesis. It's not due to say very good or to know. It's just to see how many things can emerge of our research, the particularities of the project or the benefits I could find, the inclusion and how the evolution of this inclusivity was in the period of 8 years. And of course, and for me, the most important thing, the challenges and improvements. In my case, 17 challenges I found at the end of the research that has helped me to design the project from this point, to design the strategies, to decide repertoire, or to decide the rehearsal management, because I have found in the data some issues that we were not solving. And this is not because of my intuition or because someone has said this is bad. It's because I have found that really we had this lack of this issue. I sorry for my English. Sometimes I try to say a lot of things at the same time, and and I fail. This was in some way a little bit the same that we have been talking about the participation, the accessibility, the audience accessibility, the communication and the leadership, the shared decision making, being sensitive or transparent in our communication, and the aesthetic of belonging, making the inclusion central to the artistic choices, from the repertoire to the sound to the artistic decisions. Everything has to be related and has to be coherent with the values we are promoting. And now here I put some questions I ask you, and I was planning to talk with you. Which strategy do you feel that it's most applicable to your choir or your singing context? It doesn't matter if you are a conductor or if you are just a singer. What rehearsal habit could you shift tomorrow? I mean, there are more complex things that maybe need time, but have you find something, or have you been inspired with another idea that I have not mentioned that in your context will be useful? And how does inclusion enhance artistic quality? There are very wide questions. For me, inclusion is not about lowering standards. It's about expanding possibilities, like I put here, and deepening connection. There are a lot of examples that give us feedback about some issues and challenges we have in our cultural and musical context. For example, when Gisem talked to me about this seminar, we were talking about Montserrat Caballé, that in their last years, she was in a wheelchair. And most of the places where the concerts happen have accessibility in the audience, not in the stage. And she told that she had to reach the stage a lot of times in a very bad way, in a very not comfortable way, and without dignity, because we are not thinking that the artist or we are not thinking that the diverse people or the vulnerable people sometimes can be the artist and not the audience. This is just an example. Or I can give you some other. In 2 or 3 years ago, one choir conductor of my city called me and she said, Borja, I'm sending you a blind guy that has reached our choir. It's not a professional choir. It's just a choir. It's not a bad choir. It's a good choir. And they used to work with scores. And I asked her, but what is the problem with this guy? He's just blind. He works by memory. He don't he didn't know how to read a braille score. So he was just he had perfect pitch here. They sent us this guy, and for us it's perfect. But why are you not including this guy in your choir? Why are you scared of facing this challenge? And where are you? Why are not you able to change your strategy and reimagine how you can do your teaching? Uh, I think you will have a lot of different examples if you have reached this point of my monologue. So sorry if it has been boring, because it's quite weird to be doing this in Zoom by myself without uh, participation. And then very similar to this, I was planning to do like a creative lab with you, imagining new possibilities. Um, if you had to implement one inclusive change in your choir this month, what would it be? What would you need to make it possible? And who could support you in this change? And I just put here like a tip: start small, but start somewhere. Sustainable change grows from consistent, intentional practice. You can do it if you are interested in. Inclusion begins when we listen differently. I love this quote. And that's all. Um, I hope to see you. I don't know when. Now you know my face. I don't know yours. It will be a pleasure if someday you say, "Oh, I saw you in this video of the seminar in Tenso." I hope you to have to be very lucky and success with everything. If you have any doubt, if you would like to speak more about inclusion, like Francisca has made with me in the beginning of this seminar, I'm open to everyone. You can reach me and you can find me in social media and in internet. And I have not do it before because I was alone, but now I am going to finish showing you a video of my choir in order just you to understand a little bit more how it sounds, how it shows the music to the audience. The realization of the camera maybe is not good enough to understand how the polyphony works in the stage, but I will. I expect you to appreciate it, and if you want more, you can find it, of course, in social media. So thank you so much, and I finish my seminar with this video that I am going to share.
I'm not a stranger to the dark. I they say, no one I love you as you are.
Won't let them break me down to this. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, when I said the floor, when I'm traveling out, I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. Another round of bullets hits my skin. But fire away, 'cause today I won't let their shame sink in. We are bursting through the barricades and raise our voice. We are warriors, and that's what we become. Won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. The sharpest words wanna cut me down. When I said the floor, when I dropped the line, I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. This is me. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna sand the floor, gonna drown them out. This is great, this is Bruce, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. No apologies. This is me. This is me.
So that's all. Thank you so much and see you soon.